Okay, folks, you must know by now that when the Band-Aid comes off, the truth comes out. Now, this one's going to knock your socks off because this is really how I started thinking about the New World Order and the globalist system and really where its roots are. Its roots are in, whatever, in the United Nations or before that, League of Nations. Now, it goes back over 4,000 years, this New World Order concept, back to the year, really, I don't know the exact year, but let's say 1656 in the Jewish calendar, 1656, which is the year of the flood, and right after the flood, the world spoke one language. So we're talking that the flood was 4,120 years ago. So I want to read to you the chapter after the flood. This is Genesis chapter 11, and I will put the link below so you can also read it yourself. And I'm going to read it to you now. Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And they came to pass as they journeyed east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone, and they had, it says slime for mortar, but it's bitumen for mortar, is what I've seen in other commentaries, which is tar. And they said, "Come, let us build a city and a tower with its top in heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." Now we call HaShem, what is HaShem? It's the name. So they also wanted to create a name. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is what they begin to do? Now nothing will be withholden from them, which they purpose to do. Come, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore the name of it was called Babel, or we say Babel, with a V instead of a B, because of the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. From thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. Now that's up to chapter verse 9. That's verses 1 through 9. Now all of a sudden, it goes like on a totally different tangent on verse 10. And listen to this, okay? It goes right into the generations of Shem. In this verse 10, it says, "These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and he begot Arpachshad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he got Arpachshad 500 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Arpachshad lived 35 years, and he begot Shelah. And Arpachshad lived, and after he begot Shelah, 403 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Shelah lived 30 years, and he begot Eber. And Shelah lived, after he begot Eber, 403 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years, and begot Peleg. And Eber lived, after he begot Peleg, 430 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years, and he begot Reu. And Peleg lived, after he begot Reu, 209 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years, and he begot Serug. And Reu lived, after he begot Serug, 207 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years, and begot Nahor. And Serug lived, after he begot Nahor, 200 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years, and he begot Terah. And Nahor lived, after he begot Terah, 119 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years, and he begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is where it gets interesting. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abraham, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died in the presence of his father Terah, in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took their wives, and the name of his wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. And Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Abram, his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his sons, and Sarai, the daughter-in-law of his son Abraham's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran, and dwelt there, and the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Okay, so you can see this verse went from this chapter, I should say, went from basically the year of the flood. If you want to just use the flood as the date, it's again 1656, which we're in 5776, so that's 4,120 years ago. Okay, the dispersion happened in 1996 of the Jewish calendar, so that is 3,780 years ago. And Abraham was basically alive when they were building the tower. Abraham was born in 1948, and dispersion happened in 1996. So Abraham was 48 years old when the dispersion happened. So he was part of all of this one language, and I'm imagining it was either Hebrew, this language, or Aramaic. But, this was the one language, and I guess Abraham probably, kept this language to a degree. Though they say the 70 languages, I've heard commentary that this original language was broken up into these 70 languages, and the words of this language were given a little bit of the words to each of these other languages, because this language allegedly had power, where people could actually do things. It was almost like if you said something, it would like physically happen. It's from what I understand in some of the commentaries. So why am I reading about this, and why am I harping upon this, and why am I bringing this up? Because this is the start of the New World Order, folks. They started 4,100 years ago. They wanted to build a tower to God then, okay? And they wanted to fight God, is what the commentaries say. They wanted to take over the universe. They wanted to create a name for themselves. They wanted to be the name, instead of HaShem being the name. And it's taken 4,000 years for them to come back together. And they've come back together through this technocracy, through now the latest incarnation is the United Nations. This is an evil institution. You could see how this chapter 11 went from the verses of how everyone was together and united, and they went to fight God. That was their, that's what God said when we read through there. He said, this is what they do. They all speak one language, and they're building a tower to come and fight me in heaven. So they've wanted to fight God in heaven because their ego is so unbelievably big that they think, they even think they can fight God. I don't know. Maybe they, there's books of the undead and stuff like that they have in England. I know England has a book from ancient Egypt, so maybe, there are some kind of spells and incantations. I'm not saying they can take over the universe. I'm just saying, they think whatever, they could turn, whatever, something into something else, or create where in the Bible it says the necromancers created, so they turned the staff into a snake, and Pharaoh just thought that Moses was just a good, a better magician than his magicians. But this evil is prolific in the world now. This United Nations is the embodiment of evil. They are following a devilish program. If not, I don't ever see angels or, God or the devil. I've never had out-of-body experience or anything. But, if there is some type of demon that God... Now, and of course, we're Jewish, so we don't think there's a separate entity. Everything is God. It's always a test. You're just fools, whoever thinks they can go above God to conquer him, and you're a total idiot, total fool, because God is everything. So even if there is a demon that some people call the devil or the Satan or whatever, this archangel, he's totally programmed. He's like a computer that's programmed by God to test us. you think, he's going to tell you that you can take over the universe, you can be, whatever, a top man on the planet, but you people are kidding yourself, you're fooling yourself, and you're messing with some really, really heavy stuff. And it's not like God every day will come out of the sky and do things, although things do happen in the world. But biblical proportion stuff happens every couple thousand years, and it's been a while since something of that nature has happened on this planet. And what I learned from Rabbi Kahana is that really the nations really don't understand anything but a strong hand. It says in our Torah that when God took us out of Egypt, he took us out with a strong hand and outstretched arm. There was plagues. I mean, he crushed Egypt. This is what the nations understand. They understand this strong hand and outstretched arm. They don't understand kindness. Abraham was chesed. The start of the Jewish religion was based in a kindness, in a chesed. There's so many verses, and I can go over that in another video, where we talk about peace all the time in our prayers. Angels of peace, ministers of peace. That's in Shalom Aleichem. When we do the traveler's prayer, we leave our house and we go on the road. Maybe, go in peace, come in peace. So we really want peace. But the dark side and the powers of destruction, this is the dark side, is the powers of destruction, because God is infinite energy, infinite light, infinite growth, unlimited. So the opposite of God, which is unlimited in growth, is this destruction, this dumbing down, this whole technocracy agenda of, if you've seen the Georgia Guidestones, where it says, and then you can look that up, and maybe I'll put that in the video as underneath here, so you can see what the globalists have in plan for us and in mind for us. They don't want more than 500 million people on this planet, so there's 7 billion. So, just think about that. And from what I understand, it's 500 million is just for, grins and giggles, just for show. They really want the population a lot smaller than that. So they have this agenda, things like Agenda 21 and UNESCO, and they're taking like World Heritage Sites. This is a slow creep of this technocracy. Every government that they've been overthrowing in the world, and sadly America's been part of this. I'm not proud of this, heritage that America has. But we're like the military arm of the financial arm, which is England, and the people of Europe are basically the financial wizards of this. I'm pun intended on wizards. And America's been the military arm, and it just seems like there's going to be pushback now. It seems like they're using the internet against us to gather data, to locate people like myself and other people that say, no way, man, we're not going for this. We understand what you're doing, and we're not hip to it. We don't want to be part of it. You can't buy us out. You can't give us millions or billions and let us go along, to get along. We're not going to do that, because we have a certain consciousness level, and we're not going to sell out our friends and neighbors and loved ones, to be in some sick world, some sick agenda, which, it'll feed upon itself and eat itself up. So that's really the start of the New World Order. Over 4,000 years ago, this modern incarnation is really a giant leap for them, because they actually can communicate with each other now. I don't understand, if you really understand out there who's listening to this, how significant that is. They can all talk to each other again, people, okay? They can all talk to each other again, just like they did 4,000 years ago, and they're planning to come against God. And who is God's representative on earth? But the Jewish people. We are God's representatives. We are the chosen people, the people of the book. Okay, the Torah is the truth. These other religions are not the truth. Okay, they just try to, because of the success of the Torah and the truth of the Torah, these other people just try to, emulate it. And because they were the non-chosen, the Esav and the Ishmael, so they came up with, Ishmael came up with, Muhammad and the Quran, and the Christians Esav came up with, Yashka and the New Testament, which is like, that's the parallel Old Testament, New Testament, but we're not the Old Testament. We're the Torah, the Tanakh, okay? So we're on to your game, New World Order. We're on to your game, Tower of Babel people, and we're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to put up with it, and we're not going to submit. So good luck.